The plasma cannon's recoil drove Elena Vasquez backward 3 steps across the scorched metal platform. Her boots scraped against the grated deck as superheated air rushed past her face, carrying the acrid scent of vaporized target drones. The weapon's barrel glowed white-hot in her grip. Sweat trickled down her spine beneath the Academy's regulation combat suit. Around the training arena, 12 alien cadets watched her final assessment, with expressions ranging from grudging respect to barely concealed hatred. Their instructor, Commander Thylex, stood motionless on the observation deck above. His towering Vorth frame cast shadows across the arena floor like some ancient predator studying prey. Elena had just achieved something no cadet in the Hegemony Defense Corps Academy's 200-year history had managed: perfect scores across every combat discipline. Weapons mastery, tactical analysis, strategic planning, hand-to-hand combat. She'd broken records that had stood since the Academy's founding. The silence stretched like a held breath. Thylex's voice echoed through the arena's speakers, each word measured and cold. Your final score exceeds theoretical maximums by 7%, Cadet Vasquez. Explain this anomaly. Elena set the plasma cannon down with deliberate care. Steam rose from its cooling barrel, creating wavering heat distortions in the air. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her voice remained steady. Hard work and determination, sir, nothing more. The lie tasted bitter on her tongue. 3 years of deception. 3 years of carefully calibrated mediocrity, followed by gradual improvement. 3 years of playing the role of an ambitious human, seeking to prove herself worthy of the galaxy's most elite military training. She was so much more than that. The observation deck's blast doors hissed open. Thylex descended the metal stairs with predatory grace, each footfall ringing like a death knell against the arena's deck plating. His scarred hide bore the ritual markings of a Vorth battle commander, intricate patterns that told stories of conquered worlds and crushed rebellions. Twin rows of serrated teeth gleamed when he spoke. You will report to Strategic Command at 600 tomorrow. Full graduation ceremony follows at 1,200 hours. The commander's amber eyes fixed on Elena with uncomfortable intensity. Do not disappoint the Empire, human, sir. Elena snapped to attention with crisp precision. Her salute was flawless, regulation perfect. She'd practiced it 10,000 times in front of her quarters mirror, perfecting every angle until it looked as natural as breathing. The other cadets filed out in formation, their alien forms creating a parade of scales, fur, and chitinous armor. Morlach, the hulking Kethvar heavy weapons specialist, deliberately brushed against Elena's shoulder as he passed. His species communicated through subsonic growls and electromagnetic pulses, but his meaning was clear enough. Vorlash lingered near the arena's exit. The female Threnny had been Elena's closest competitor throughout their training cycle, her serpentine grace and tactical brilliance earning grudging respect from even the harshest instructors. Her scaled features betrayed nothing, but Elena caught the subtle tilt of her head, a gesture that might have been acknowledgement or warning. Then Elena stood alone in the vast training space. Emergency lighting cast harsh shadows across weapon racks and training equipment. The air recycling system hummed with mechanical persistence, carrying away the smell of burnt metal and ozone. She allowed herself one moment of pure, undiluted satisfaction. 3 years ago, she'd infiltrated the Hegemony's most secure military installation, disguised as an ambitious human seeking acceptance in their elite ranks. The cover story was perfect. A determined soldier from humanity's struggling colonies, desperate to prove her species deserved respect in the galactic community. Her fabricated records showed adequate but unremarkable performance in human military academies, promising enough to warrant consideration, mediocre enough to avoid suspicion. The Hegemony had accepted her application with barely concealed condescension. Another primitive human seeking to play with the big children. They'd allowed her entry as a propaganda tool, proof of their enlightened acceptance of lesser species. They had no idea what they'd invited into their most sacred halls. Elena's fingers traced the biometric scanner beside the arena's primary exit. Her genetic pattern had been encoded into the Academy systems years ago, but the scanner read far more than DNA. Neural patterns, electromagnetic signatures, microscopic analysis of cellular structure. The hegemony's security was absolute, impenetrable, unless you'd spent 3 years learning exactly how it worked. The corridor beyond stretched in both directions, its walls lined with holographic displays showing the Academy's most decorated graduates. Alien faces stared down at her with cold authority. Generals who had conquered star systems, admirals who commanded fleets spanning light years, strategic masterminds who had orchestrated the subjugation of dozens of species. She'd studied them all, learned their tactics, memorized their weaknesses. Alina's quarters lay 7 levels up, accessible through a maze of corridors and security checkpoints that would have challenged most infiltration specialists. She navigated them with casual ease, her enhanced neural implants mapping every camera blind spot and sensor gap. The Academy's designers had assumed their students would never need to move undetected through their own facility. Another mistake. Her room was Spartan by human standards, luxurious by military academy norms. A single bed with regulation sheets, a desk equipped with a secure terminal, personal storage space for exactly 1 standard equipment kit. The walls were bare metal, except for a single holographic display showing the Academy Honor Code in 17 different alien languages. Alina sat at her desk and activated the terminal with biometric authorization. The screen flickered to life, displaying her academic record in neat columns of data. Combat scores, tactical assessments, physical fitness rankings, psychological evaluations, all lies. Her fingers moved across the interface with practiced efficiency, accessing files buried beneath layers of security encryption. Real combat footage from training exercises, classified tactical analyses she'd compiled, detailed assessments of alien military capabilities and strategic thinking. The hegemony's greatest weakness wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their fundamental inability to understand how humans actually fought. They saw warfare as a chess game played with starships and armies. Precise, calculated, governed by immutable rules of engagement and strategic doctrine. Their battle plans were works of art, mathematical perfections that accounted for every variable and contingency. Humans fought like rabid animals backed into corners. Alina accessed the Academy's central database through carefully cultivated backdoors she'd spent years installing. Personnel files, tactical doctrines, fleet deployment schedules, weapon specifications. The complete operational structure of the hegemony's military machine lay exposed before her like a dissected corpse. Tomorrow's graduation ceremony would mark more than her successful infiltration. It would signal the beginning of the end for the greatest military empire in galactic history. Her enhanced neural implants synchronized with the terminal, downloading terabytes of classified information in milliseconds. Battle plans for upcoming campaigns against human colonies. Detailed analyses of human military capabilities based on severely outdated intelligence. Strategic assessments that consistently underestimated human adaptability and resilience. The data flowed through her consciousness like liquid fire. Weapon frequencies that could penetrate human armor. Ship formations optimized for engaging human vessels. Tactical doctrines specifically designed to exploit what the aliens perceived as humanity's inherent weaknesses. Alina smiled. Let them come. She closed the files and activated a hidden partition containing her real mission parameters. The message waited exactly where she'd left it 3 years ago, encrypted with quantum keys that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. Operation Trojan Horse, Phase 3 authorized. Her fingers trembled slightly as she entered the activation sequence. 3 years of careful preparation culminated in this moment. 3 years of enduring alien condescension and carefully managed mediocrity. 3 years of playing the grateful recipient of their enlightened tolerance. Tomorrow, she would graduate with full honors from the Hegemony Defense Corps Academy. She would receive her commission as a strategic intelligence officer with access to their most sensitive military installations. She would be welcomed into their inner circles as proof of the Empire's magnanimous acceptance of worthy aliens. And then the real work would begin. Alina powered down the terminal and lay back on her narrow bed. Through the small porthole window, she could see the Academy's parade ground where tomorrow's ceremony would take place. Alien dignitaries would deliver speeches about unity and the Empire's glorious future. She would stand with her fellow graduates and swear an oath of loyalty to ideals she'd spent 3 years learning to destroy. The irony was beautiful. Sleep came easily. Her neural implants regulated her brain chemistry with precision, ensuring optimal rest and recovery. Dreams of burning starships and shattered alien fleets flickered through her unconscious mind like prophetic visions. Dawn came too soon and not soon enough. Alina woke before her alarm, her body's internal chronometer synchronized with military precision. 530 hours. 90 minutes until her appointment with Strategic Command. She showered with regulation efficiency and donned her dress uniform with meticulous care. Every crease perfect, every decoration precisely positioned, every detail conforming to standards she could recite from memory. The woman staring back from her mirror looked like any other graduating cadet. Proud, determined, eager to serve the greater glory of the hegemony. Her reflection betrayed nothing of the storm gathering behind her eyes. Strategic Command occupied the Academy's highest tower, its walls lined with holographic displays showing real-time fleet positions across the galaxy. Admiral Grex waited behind a massive desk crafted from the hull of humanity's first defeated battleship. The symbolism wasn't subtle. Few things about the hegemony were. Alina entered with parade ground precision and stood at attention. The Admiral studied her with cold calculation, his reptilian features betraying nothing. Minutes passed in silence, broken only by the soft humming of environmental systems. Your performance has been adequate, Cadet Vasquez. His voice carried the distinctive harmonic undertones of his species, each word layered with subsonic frequencies that spoke of controlled violence. You will be assigned to the Intelligence Division aboard the battlecruiser Dominance. Your first deployment begins immediately following today's ceremony. Alina's heart hammered with controlled excitement. The Dominance, flagship of the Third Fleet, home to the Empire's most advanced strategic planning facilities. Access to classified intelligence that could reshape the balance of power across the galaxy. Thank you for this opportunity, sir. I won't disappoint you. See that you don't. The Admiral's eyes glittered with something that might have been amusement. Failure in the Intelligence Division carries permanent consequences. The threat hung in the air like poison gas. Alina nodded with appropriate gravity while her enhanced mind cataloged every detail of the office's security measures. Biometric scanners, motion detectors, weapon detection grids. Even the desk's positioning was strategically calculated to provide optimal defensive advantages. She committed it all to memory. The graduation ceremony unfolded with military pageantry and alien grandeur. Thousands of spectators filled the Academy's main amphitheater, their diverse forms creating a kaleidoscope of scales, fur, and exotic biomechanical augmentations. Alina stood with 43 other graduates in perfect formation, their dress uniforms gleaming under harsh ceremonial lighting. Commander Thylex delivered the keynote address with characteristic Vorth intensity. His words echoed across the assembled crowd, speaking of duty and sacrifice and the eternal glory of the hegemony. Alina listened with appropriate attention while her enhanced hearing picked up whispered conversations among the alien dignitaries. First human to achieve perfect scores. Remarkable adaptation for such a primitive species. Perhaps they're more capable than initial assessments suggested. The speeches concluded with traditional military ceremony. Each graduate stepped forward to receive their commission and assignment. Alina watched her classmates accept their positions with varying degrees of pride and apprehension. Most would serve aboard patrol vessels or frontier installations. A few exceptional performers received assignments to fleet command ships. Cadet Vasquez, Alina stepped forward. Her heart hammered as Admiral Grex approached with her commission tablet. The device contained her official rank, security clearances, and access authorizations. 3 years of work culminated in this moment. 3 years of careful preparation and calculated deception. The Admiral extended the tablet with ceremonial formality. By order of High Command, you are hereby commissioned as Intelligence Officer Second Class and assigned to Strategic Planning Division aboard the battlecruiser Dominance. May you serve with honor and distinction. Alina accepted the tablet with steady hands. The device's biometric sensors confirmed her identity and activated her new security clearances. Classified databases she'd spent years trying to access suddenly opened before her enhanced consciousness like flowering blooms. Thank you, sir. I'm honored to serve. The ceremony concluded with the traditional oath of loyalty. Alina spoke the words with perfect pronunciation, her voice joining with 43 others in solemn declaration of allegiance to the hegemony and its eternal glory. Every word was a lie. She meant every syllable. That evening, Alina stood alone on the Academy's observation deck watching transport, shuttles, ferry her former classmates to their new assignments. The Dominance hung in orbit above them like a metal mountain, its hull bristling with weapon arrays and sensor clusters. Tomorrow, she would board that vessel and begin the most dangerous phase of her mission. Footsteps echoed behind her. Vorlash approached with characteristic Threnny grace, her serpentine form flowing across the deck with liquid smoothness. She stopped beside Alina and stared up at the stars through the transparent aluminum viewport. You're not what you appear to be. Vorlash's voice carried subtle harmonic undertones that spoke of hidden knowledge. Her species was known for their intuitive understanding of deception and misdirection. Alina kept her expression neutral. I'm exactly what I appear to be, a human officer ready to serve. Vorlash's scaled head tilted slightly, a gesture that might have been acknowledgement or threat. Perhaps that's precisely what makes you dangerous. The Threnny moved away without another word, leaving Alina alone with her thoughts and the weight of tomorrow's responsibilities. Above them, the Dominance waited like a patient predator, unaware that death was about to board its halls disguised as loyal service. Alina smiled into the darkness. 3 years of careful preparation had led to this moment. 3 years of enduring alien condescension while learning their deepest secrets. 3 years of playing the grateful recipient of their enlightened tolerance. Tomorrow, the real game would begin. The woman they'd trained to be their perfect soldier would become their perfect enemy. She'd learned their tactics, studied their weaknesses, and earned access to their most sacred knowledge. Every lesson they'd taught her would be turned against them with human ingenuity and ruthless efficiency. The hegemony had created their own destroyer, and they'd given her a graduation ceremony to celebrate the achievement. Alina touched the commission tablet in her uniform pocket. Her new security clearances would grant access to intelligence that could save human colonies and crush alien fleets. Strategic plans she could subvert. Battle formations she could counter. Weapon frequencies she could neutralize. They'd taught her everything she needed to know to destroy them. Now, she just had to survive long enough to use it. The stars wheeled overhead in their eternal dance, indifferent to the small dramas played out on the Academy's deck. Alina watched them for long minutes, memorizing their patterns and plotting courses to human space. Soon, very soon, those stars would witness the beginning of a war the hegemony thought they'd already won. Alina Vasquez, Intelligence Officer Second Class, smiled into the darkness and began planning their defeat.